Hi everybody, I'm Lights Camera Jackson. Welcome to a new episode of LCJ Live. Today is Sunday, July 8, 2018. Hope you had an awesome 4th of July weekend. Let's get right into it. AntMan and the Wasp. $76 million to be your number one movie in America. That's a $19 million increase over the first Ant-Man movie, which came out in 2015. That opened to $57 million. It's not a huge increase. It's about what some of the Marvel movies have done. First to second movie, Captain America did about $30 million increase, but Thor was sort of right around there too. So it's an alright open, but it's the lowest open for a Marvel movie since the first Ant-Man. So really, I think people were expecting more. I think coming off of Infinity War, people were expecting an even bigger open for Ant-Man, but this is a quirky character. It's a quirky character. It's the lightest character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's the lightest film overall. It's the most family-friendly, but families are still going to Incredibles 2. We'll talk about that in a second. And Ant-Man and the Wasp just isn't a great movie. It tries to be really funny, it tries to be silly, and it just doesn't work. It's not compelling enough. The only compelling character I thought was the character played by Lawrence Fishburne. To me, he was the most interesting character in the whole movie. Paul Rudd as the character still doesn't do it for me. He did it for me in Captain America Civil War because you had that character in a small dose. I like some of these Marvel characters in small doses, not necessarily in their full movies, like Doctor Strange in Infinity War, Thor in Infinity War, and Ant-Man in Civil War. Are you going to watch Sorry to Bother You, says at Bob Hall. I may get to that at some point. It goes nationwide next weekend. It had a big limited open this weekend in just 16 theaters with $700,000. That's pretty darn good. So, hey, Sorry to Bother You does go nationwide on Friday. Maybe I'll check it out as soon as I get back from my trip to Vegas and LA, which I'll also talk about in a second. Did you see Ant-Man and the Wasp? What did you think? Please comment, and I will share your comments live here on LCJ Live. At White Obama says, you are a weirdo. Hey, there's nothing wrong with being a weirdo when we're talking about the big movies in America, like Incredibles 2. Incredibles 2 made another $29 million this weekend, and it has become the biggest animated movie of all time domestically. It still needs a lot of money in order to become the biggest animated movie of all time globally, but when it comes to the United States of America, it passed Finding Dory, Pixar topping Pixar, to become the biggest animated movie ever in the history of animated movies, and it just did it in 4 weeks' time. Less than 4 total weeks. That is pretty remarkable. Congrats to everybody at Pixar on this. Huge accomplishment for Incredibles 2 to be the biggest animated movie ever in the United States. But Incredibles 2 being in second, that means Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom dropped to third with another $28.6 million. Look, it's still going to end up as one of the biggest movies ever for Universal Pictures, even though it is not going to make nearly the $650 million that the first Jurassic World made back in 2015. Did you see the First Purge, the horror movie that opened up on Tuesday night? Well, that made $17.1 million Friday to Sunday. It's 5.5-day open of $31 million. This franchise is still relevant. It may be more relevant than ever. People are interested in this topic. They're interested in this idea, this concept, and it's going to be a new TV series, I think, coming very soon as well, a Purge TV series. So it is still hot. It is still relevant. The First Purge had a very good opening weekend for Universal. Sicario, Day of the Soldado, huge drop. It made $19 million last weekend, down to $7 million in fifth. Uncle Drew, not doing as strong as I think it should be, $6.6 million. Then Ocean's 8, Tag. Hey, look, a film that came in 9th place this weekend, doing even better than expected. Won't You Be My Neighbor? It keeps growing week after week with the increase in the number of theaters as well. Another $2.6 million for the Mr. Rogers documentary. And still, in the top 10 after 8 weeks, Deadpool 2 with another $1.7 million. I can't believe people are still going to see Deadpool 2, but they are. In fact, I do the voices for the voiceovers for the Hollywood Drive-In and the Malta Drive-In, which are two big popular drive-ins in the upstate New York capital region area. And the Malta was still getting Deadpool 2 fairly recently as one of the showings at the drive-in. So people are still going to see Deadpool 2, even with other Marvel movies out in theaters, still going to that. Hey, are you watching Sharp Objects tonight on HBO? It is the premiere of this 8-part miniseries starring Amy Adams, who I have met on 3 occasions, and I still say to this day is one of the nicest people on the planet. Also with Patricia Clarkson, and it is written by, it is from a novel written by Gillian Flynn. If you know that name, Gillian Flynn wrote Gone Girl, and she won some awards for Gone Girl, the movie screenplay, and the book was a phenomenon. I remember seeing Gone Girl and liking it. I appreciated a lot of it, especially Rosamund Pike's performance, very deserving of the Best Actress Oscar nomination she got. But I felt like I wasn't blown away by Gone Girl. It got me, but there were some things that happened towards the middle of the movie that made me rethink things. I thought Neil Patrick Harris was an interesting but not quite successful casting choice. Though, let me say this, Tyler Perry was great as Tanner Bolt. Tanner Bolt was this character. He was like the PR, the publicist guy for the Ben Affleck character. I thought he was completely underused and fantastic. Tyler Perry can do drama. 3 occasions. Does she remember you, says Bob Hall, when it comes to Amy Adams? Yes! As a matter of fact, the second time I met Amy Adams, when I went to the Critics' Choice Awards, she said to me, look how much taller you've gotten since the last time I saw you. Yes, people, she did remember me, which was really nice. Comment here, I have the book and might read it if I like the miniseries. Yeah, I think a lot of people are picking up this Sharp Objects book, interested in it now, especially with this HBO miniseries starting tonight. Now, with the Emmy nominations coming out this Thursday, the show and Amy Adams cannot qualify for this year's Emmy Awards. They'll have to wait an entire year to see if they get nominated. But it's a really interesting question. Look at Amy Adams, a 5-time Academy Award nominee who probably should have won for American Hustle, let's all be honest there. I liked Cate Blanchett and Blue Jasmine, but Amy Adams was probably more deserving of the Academy Award that year. But will she win an Emmy first for this role in Sharp Objects? If the Emmy nominations come out a year from now, that'll still be before Amy Adams has a real shot at an Oscar nomination with a film that she just booked called The Woman in the Window that's set for an October 2019 release. So about a month before that movie's going to come out, Amy Adams could win an Emmy before she wins potentially an Academy Award, and she's been nominated for 5 Academy Awards. It's really interesting. Sharp Objects. Amy Adams coming to television. You know, one of the biggest movie stars in the world. That's what people have been doing lately. These movie stars are coming to television because there are so many opportunities on platforms like HBO, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, all of them. I've been seeing so many Amazon promos in the movie theaters lately before the films start with all of their series, including Goliath with Billy Bob Thornton and The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. So many interesting shows on these platforms. So Sharp Objects premieres tonight, 9 o'clock on HBO. We'll see how it does in the ratings. It is a free HBO and Cinemax weekend for DirecTV customers, so I think free weekends tying in with this will help Sharp Objects tremendously. I got my mummy guy here. Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation opens this Thursday at 5 p.m. I saw it last weekend at the Amazon Prime advanced showing. I've got my review up right now at lights-camera-jackson.com. I've also got my podcast interview in the podcast section, new edition of the LCJ Q&A with Michelle Murdocha. She is the producer of Hotel Transylvania 3. She told me it took more than 6 years to make the first Hotel Transylvania. It took 3 to make Hotel Transylvania 2, and just about 2 years and a couple months to make Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation. And she's not the first person out of the people I've talked to who have worked on Sony Pictures Animation movies over the last couple of years that has told me that Sony is making films at an extremely quick pace. The Emoji Movie was made in about 2 years. I think Smurfs The Lost Village was also made in about 2 years. They are churning these things out, but they're making money, and they're decent animated films, too. So look for my podcast interview, LCJ Q&A, in the podcast section with Michelle. Also, tomorrow, new LCJ Q&A episode with Peter Hastings. He's the executive producer of DreamWorks Animation's new series, The Epic Tales of Captain Underpants. That's right, if you loved the Captain Underpants movie, it is now a TV series starting this Friday, July 13th on Netflix. And I talked with Peter. He is a 6-time Emmy winner. He has won 6 Emmys total for his work in animation over several decades, and now he's working on the Captain Underpants show with Dave Pilkey, the author of the Captain Underpants books, is also an executive producer on this show. So if you're a huge fan of Captain Underpants, I've seen some of these episodes, it stays true to form of what the books do and what the movie did as well. So look for that LCJ Q&A in the podcast section tomorrow at lights-camera-jackson.com, and the transcription of it at animationscoop.com. At Bob Hall says, I watched 8th grade, I really loved it. I loved 8th grade too. 8th grade opens in New York City and Los Angeles this Friday, July 13th. Please go see it. It's one of the best films of the year. It's from writer-director Bo Burnham, a very popular comedian, and a breakthrough star-making role for 15-year-old Elsie Fisher. Those interviews, I talked with Bo and I talked with Elsie. They're in the podcast section as well at lights-camera-jackson.com. So listen to those. Read my review as well of 8th grade. That's up on the website. It is a fantastic film, and we'll be expanding to more locations over the coming weeks. Locally here in the capital region, it is not coming until August 3rd. But look, if it's somewhere near you, go see 8th grade opening this Friday. LCJ Q&A podcasts are fantastic. I love them. We just passed 100 episodes. 100th episode of the LCJ Q&A podcast was with Elsie Fisher. This week, I'm going to be in Las Vegas and Los Angeles. And so please be on social media, Twitter at LCJ Reviews and Instagram at LightsCamJackson for so many updates over the course of the week. Going to see some movies, meeting up with some people, and going to some cool shows. So look for all kinds of pictures and video on social media this week. Again, Emmy nominations this Thursday morning. It'll be bright and early in Los Angeles when I'm there, when the Emmy nominations will be announced. Is your favorite show going to be nominated? Will Modern Family not get a Best Comedy Series nomination? I think for the first time. Will it not happen? At Bob Hall says, are you 21 yet? Will you gamble? I'm not even 20 yet. We'll see what happens in Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Isn't that the popular phrase? So Emmy nominations are Thursday. We've got big movies coming out. I'll have my Skyscraper review. I'm seeing that in Vegas. So I'll have my review of Skyscraper probably on Wednesday or maybe Tuesday night, late night, from Vegas, talking about Dwayne Johnson in Skyscraper. It's actually going to be a big box office battle next weekend because AntMan, it made $76 million this weekend, could drop down to about 40. I think easily Hotel Transylvania can do more than 40 million, and Skyscraper may give it a run for its money as well. So when we're back here next Sunday at noon Eastern for a new episode of LCJ Live, as I recap my Vegas and LA trips, we'll also see, could it be a really close 1-2-3 next weekend? I think it will be for AntMan and newcomers Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation and Skyscraper. We'll see what happens. All right, everybody, enjoy the week. Thank you so much for watching LCJ Live. Stay tuned to social media for all kinds of updates with the podcast, the reviews, photos, videos, all kinds of stuff happening this week. I'm Lights Camera Jackson. Stay tuned for all that, and we'll see you next Sunday for a new episode of LCJ Live. Bye-bye.